One day away from the opening ceremony at the Summer Olympics in Paris, the city's on high alert with increased security, but some chaos has already broken out at one of the events. Our Maggie Rulli's in Paris with more.
As Team USA takes Paris by storm, it seems many tourists have decided to stay away.
Paris is the most empty I've seen it since COVID.
Guys, it's super empty.
The city's tourism board says Paris is now expecting just over 11 million tourists to visit for the games, 4 million fewer than they initially thought. And with those numbers down, Delta, the U.S. airline with the most flights to Paris and the airline sponsor of Team USA, is estimating a $100 million revenue hit this summer.
People came in with really high hopes about the crowds, the amount of money that was going to be made, and so far it's been pretty underwhelming.
Shops around the city are struggling with the lack of customers.
The last 10 days was absolutely disastrous. Not many people. The lowest turnover of the whole year.
The tourists who do show up are met with complicated and extensive security measures.
When tourists get here for the Olympics, this is what they see. Miles and miles of barricades blocking off iconic landmarks like Notre Dame.
But the Americans we met say it's still all been worth it.
Was it worth it?
Oh, 100% worth it, right? Was it worth it for you guys?
You told people you were coming to Paris around the Olympics. What'd they say? Did anyone say, that can't be safe, or you must be crazy?
That was exactly what they said, that you're crazy, it's going to be super crowded, and it's going to be chaos, and it's been just the opposite. So going back to the QR codes, because of those, the streets were a little empty in a lot of the places.
And we didn't know if we'd be able to move at all, you know, if it would be like wall to wall. And so far, we've moved pretty well throughout the city.
And if this is all now making you want to go to the Olympics, the good news is that there are still plenty of deals to be found. These two couples from Missouri were left scrambling when their Airbnb canceled on them a week before their trip. They say it was a blessing in disguise. They found an even better apartment with views of the Eiffel Tower and Arc de Triomphe for just over $187 a night per couple.
I think that people probably anticipated places being booked up a lot earlier.
Travel company Going says there are key times to book if you want to grab your own Olympic-sized deal.
Your best chance for a good deal catching the Olympics this summer is going to be to try to target the end of the Olympics. And it's those last few days when you see both the cheapest airfare and the cheapest hotels.
And foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli joins me now from Paris with more. Maggie, what's it like there right now? And are people feeling tense at all after already seeing some disturbances at the games?
You know, it's a good question, Dan, and so many people we spoke with said they had been warned about coming to Paris, both because of the crowds, because of security, because of terror threats. But as you just heard, every American we've met so far said it's been totally worth it. And actually, all of this extra security has made them feel safer and has been great crowd control. But you do get the idea that, yes, there's this excitement around the games happening in Paris right now, but there's a lot of heightened security. You saw some of it in the piece, that elaborate barricades that are set up around the city, the extensive system of QR codes and passes just to access some of the main sites in Paris. It's an issue to get into some of these places. I mean, you can see the police presence just behind me here. This is what you see on pretty much every corner, Diane, on every public transport. There are police, there are soldiers. I can walk you through some of the number here, Diane, because they're calling this the largest peacetime deployment of security forces in the country's history. So what does that actually mean? It means 35,000 police officers deployed each day for the Olympics, 10,000 soldiers patrolling the streets and sites of Paris. France has even called in help from more than 40 other countries. They're sending 2,000 police reinforcements. So, Diane, when you ask about the Olympics, the athletes, yes, there's so much excitement, but it's hard to ignore the security that you see and feel on the ground here.
And yet, Maggie, we still saw Morocco fans rush Argentina yesterday in the men's tournament. What happened there?
Yeah, Diane, it was a bizarre scene. You know, we're not even at the official day one of the Olympics here yet, and already the men's soccer tournament started off with violence and chaos. Now, this all happened when Morocco was facing off against Argentina. There was a disputed goal, and Moroccan fans rushed the field. When they were there were people throwing bottles, getting violent. They had to delay the game by 2 full hours. Then they escorted all the fans out of the stadium, and the teams actually finished playing an Olympic game in front of empty stands. Dan, we should also note the outcome of that game because Morocco had a huge upset over two-time gold medalist Argentina 2-1. So, yes, we're dealing with violence and chaos, but we're also already starting to see some of those Olympic upsets that people love to talk about.
And Maggie, tomorrow, the big opening ceremony, what are you learning about that?
Yeah, the big opening ceremony, Dan, this is really an unprecedented event. It's one that everyone is so highly anticipating. It's never been done before, where the middle of the city is turning into the opening ceremonies. There are going to be about 10,000 athletes floating on around 100 boats down the River Seine, going through the heart of Paris. Now, from a security standpoint, it's been called a nightmare, Diane. Just imagine this. You have all these high-profile athletes, many of them famous, on this river, hundreds of thousands of spectators surrounding them, a lot of tall buildings on either side of the river. French officials say they have it under control. The security measures are so tight heading into tomorrow's opening ceremonies. We've told there'll be snipers on rooftops. There's going to be Navy boats patrolling the Seine during the opening ceremonies. There's actually a no-fly zone happening over the city, diverting flights from one of Europe's busiest airports. So this is a full-scale security operation. But Diane, there's also a lot of excitement around these opening ceremonies. Again, this is unprecedented. We've never seen opening ceremonies outside of a stadium like this. And there's also this secrecy around them. So we know Team USA, they're going to be led by Coco Gauff and LeBron James. Some huge names are going to be decked out in their American gear, but there's still so much we don't know. Event organizers purposefully haven't told anyone who's actually performing at these opening ceremonies. But of course, there are lots of reports coming in. So we know that Celine Dion and Lady Gaga are in Paris. We don't know if they're performing together or not, but Diane, we're going to figure out together tomorrow. Oh.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you, the performances. What scoop are you getting? Because, you know, Celine Dion, it doesn't get any better than that, especially under the circumstances. Her big comeback since revealing her diagnosis. What a moment.
Yeah, it promises to be incredible no matter what happens, and I promise I will be there, I will be dancing, and I'll send you photos, Diane.
I hope you're twinning with me again, too, because we're matching today, Maggie.
Yeah. All right, you look so good.